This is Matt McCart from Snake River Fly. Today I'm going to show you a fly called the Krinklezon Clouser. This is just your standard Krinklezon, Clouser Minnow. Tied a little bit differently with Snake River Fly materials. Tied on a TP 610 trout predator hook from Arex, or Ahex, however you say it. Also using the Snake River Fly Krinklezon. This comes in a boatload of material, a boatload of colors. It's a very strong material. It's very long. It's very versatile. You can use it for a lot of different bugs. Today we're going to be using it on this one, and I'll show you how to do it. This is basically a 3-ingredient fly. You're going to have bead or dumbbell eyes, and we're just using a hairline medium dumbbell. I'm going to use orange today just so it's easier to see. You can use any color you want. This fly is really good because you can use it in any system. We fish it a lot, primarily below American Falls Dam in Idaho. The main snake, fish it for smallmouth. We fish it for trout. We fish it for carp. You can hit just about any fish on this fly. It has a very, very good swim to it. The Krinklezon from Snake River gives it a nice float in the water and a lot of sheen. Gives it a very, very versatile look, and you can copy just about any kind of minnow with it you want. I like to do it in blue and orange, and that color fishes for trout and for smallmouth. I like to do it in gold and tan. This one copies the sucker minnow, and it fishes for trout very well. Also fishes on the South Fork of the Snake very well, and we'll find out if it fishes on the Henrys. The color that I have in my vise is the chartreuse green. This is primarily a smallmouth colorway, largemouth colorway. You could probably pull some pike on it, I'd imagine. Very, very versatile fly, just to spin on a classic that we do here at Snake River Fly. Pretty straightforward. I'll be using 3 different threads on this. You'll see a GSP, you'll see a Semperfli Nano Silk, and then you'll also see a Semperfli Floss. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here we are starting off the Krinklezon Clouser Arex TP 610 trout predator hook. As you can see, this hook looks a little rough. I've already gone ahead and scuffed it. That's a really good trick for tying on clouser eyes. So I'm going to come in. Thread I'm using is 100 denier GSP, Vivus brand. It's the brand I like. Right now we're going to put on a hairline dubbing medium-sized barbell. So we're going to come in. I like to measure off the barbell for the eyes to kind of get a consistent depth on them. Come in and tie these on. Figure 8 around it. Figure 8 early, and it gives it a little bit of a tighter grip. And then I'm going to come through and put a bunch of wraps on this. One of the tricks for a clouser is those eyes cannot spin. So I want to be able to get in here as tight as I can and tighten them down. Check them, looking good. Give them a few wraps behind. Make sure they're nice and straight. Come in, and I'm going to whip finish and tie off my GSP. And I'm going to switch threads on you. So we're done with the GSP now. I'm going to come in. This is a Semperfli 30 denier Nano Silk. The Nano Silk's very strong, very durable material. I really like to use it. Semperfli's done a nice job with that. Coming in. And I'm going to start this thread at the back of the hook because that's where I'm going to tie in my tail. So now this first part of tying in this tail, we're using Snake River Fly Krinklezon. This is the Pearl colorway. As said before, the Krinklezon is a fantastic material. It's very long, it's very versatile, it's super easy to use. It's got a nice long fiber to it. Perfect material for this in the place of bucktail. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a pretty good stash of it here for the tail. Now, one of the tricks with the clousers is you don't want them to be over bulky. You want them to have a nice dart swim in the water. Pretty good. So I come in, and I'm going to take the Krinklezon and kind of stack it so that the ends are fairly even. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be straight. So we're going to come here, And with this one, normally I'd try to surround the hook with Krinklezon. On this one, I just want it on top. Come in, give it a few wraps. Now I'm going to bring my thread all the way to the front, straight behind the barbell with those dumbbell eyes. Now I'm going to come in front of the dumbbell eyes. Now right here, this is kind of your call. I like my heads to be a little bit bigger. I like them to have a little more consistency. So what I'll do is I come in, and I'm actually going to bring this back, hook it again, and I'm going to run it forward again. So I have material even with my eyes. And as you can see, this is one of those reasons that Krinklezon is the perfect material for this. It's so long that I have versatility to do whatever I want. Gives it a nice shine, almost Rapala-esque. So I'm going to come in, trim off some of my excess, and I'm going to run this nano silk out to the nose. And that's kind of the base for that dart, schnoz that you give these flies. Clean it up just a little bit. Now I check it, make sure it's where I want, and I'm going to come back behind. And you don't have to do this, it's just something I like to do. Even up my thread on the top of it and give it a nice, cross stitch. Nice look. I'm going to tighten up that nose just a little bit more. And now we're ready to party. So now the hook goes upside down. I have an exposed belly. I come in at this part and I like to throw in a nice stripe. Gives it a little bit of contrast, gives the fly a lot of look of the Krinklezon. You can see it here in the brown. So for this fly, I'm actually going to use the Peacock Krinklezon. Nice colorway. Gives it a nice running stripe, kind of a gill plate. So I'm going to be really light here. Take a pretty simple patch of it. Nothing crazy. Come in. I'm going to tie it in on one side, 2 wraps. Come around the other side, 2 wraps. And right here I want to make sure that this is even. So you can kind of play with it a little bit. And I want it to be even with the butt ends of those tails. Roll it back. A nice little tie-in on that. And it's already starting to build the contrast of that fly. So from here, this is where you could normally use a craft fur. You could use bucktail, faux bucktail, whatever you want to use. I'm using a Snake River fly material, yet to be named. So we're going to come in here. This is just a really chartreuse green, almost a faux bucktail. I'm going to get my ends. Clip it off. So I'm about that long. Enough consistency. I'm going to set that down for just a second. Now I'm going to come in and with some silver, yet again, UV silver, Krinklezon. Come in and I'm going to straighten these fibers out and try to get them nice and straight. And one thing I'll do right here at this point is I come in with my EP fiber brush. I'm just going to brush the ends out. So these are all nice and straight. Now this is what makes this fly a little different. I'm going to come in and clip all these excess so that it's about the same length as my craft fur, bucktail material, whatever you want to use. And I'm going to come in, take it with that material, and I put it in the palm of my hand, and I'm just going to mix that. Now, if you're a deer hair nerd, this is the same way you mix deer hair. Just come in and get a good even mix on it. Kind of straighten it out. And I have stacked this in a deer hair stacker. It works pretty slick. And then just because I want a little more green in there, I'm going to trim off a little bit more. I want this fly to be nice and bright. I want it to be poppy and have a lot of color to it. So this is an okay situation to be in. Just coming in and I'm just mixing that. Now I'm going to take from this the section that I want. So I don't want this whole conglomerate on top. That's just a little too much. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of the crinkle out, a little bit of the bucktail material out, and now we're ready to party. Gives you a nice tail material. I'm going to come in and I like to keep this on the side until the end, and then I'll pull it through the hook. Just makes it easier on me. I want my top section to be a little bit longer than my tail. So I'm going to come in and tie that in. And one of the things, if you're going to tie a clouser in these noses, you got to be ready for, I'll come in and I'm actually going to give this material a pull, and I'm going to lose some of it, and that's okay. Not a lot. But I'm going to come back in and I'm going to put it back on. Give it a couple more wraps. Now I've got this big schnuzzle. Come in, clip it off, clean it up. I'm going to take that nano silk and run it all the way to the eye of this hook. All the way back up. As high as I can get it. And I'm going to tie it off. Now right here you could just use your thread to make a big nose and have a big pointy darty nose on this. I like to use this Semperfly it's a bad name, STD floss. It's 400 denier. I like it in the neon green, and I like it for one very, very specific reason. It's very, very bright. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to start this. And I'm going to use this floss to build a nice even keeled nose. Give it a nice taper. It's very easy to control this bigger stuff. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to run that thread as high up on there as I can. And I like to have it at a little bit of an angle. I'm going to build that nose up, pull it tight. And then I'll come in, tie it off. And you could use anything you want there. You can make it sparkly if you want. So now the fly is basically done. You use head cement right here. I like to use Loon Flow. It's a nice, easy material to work with. I can control it really well. It's good stuff. So we'll come in, build a little bit of a nose here with that flow. Make sure I cover my knot. Make sure I cover the little piece of black stuff I got in the head somehow. So I just have an even coating on it. I'm going to give it a few spins, try to even it up. Come in, and I'm going to just cure it. And you can see what that nose is going to do. Nice bright material. The Krinklezon under UV is fantastic. Come in now. I'm going to pull it off the vise. Set where I want it. Come in and clean it up just a little. There you have a Krinklezon Clouser. Pretty good. Very, very effective. You strip fast with them. Be aggressive on your retrieve. You could even dead drift them if you want and kind of emulate like a dying minnow. That's pretty much it. So this is Matt from Snake River Fly and Fly Labs. Signing off.